Right, so I'm with Peter in the kitchen at the Black Bull now, about to cook one of his signature dishes. So what's it going to be, Peter?
Well, our dish today is going to be, we're going to do sea bass and scallops. A great combination. Something I've always liked to do, sea bass and scallops. It's probably the two more fine dining ingredients that you can find in a restaurant. Everybody loves scallops and everybody loves sea bass, and when you put them together, people are always wowed. This is quite a spring dish. We've got new season asparagus in here. We've got some char-grilled artichokes, pre-char grilled these are. They're a very nice little product and marinated in oil for over 24 hours. We've got some fresh tarragon to add that kind of aniseed sort of flavour to the potatoes. We're going to put those in the potatoes, and we're going to confit off some cherry tomatoes. So I'm going to get some cherry tomatoes into the pan as well, get them flavoured off, and then we're going to plate it up with a bit of balsamic. I've got some like herb oil, and I've got some truffle oil as well. It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to run you through it.
So what's first then?
So first we're going to prep up the sea bass. Now, you normally, when you go to your fishmonger or your local supermarket, you can get them to fillet the fish for you. But when you find it, you're going to have the belly meat. So as you can see, you've got your fillet there. You're going to have the belly meat that you just want to trim away. I always like to square off my sea bass, give me a better cooking time. Try and cut away the end bits as well.
So when you say give you a better cooking time, what do
just
you mean?
more even cooking time, because then it's going to cook more evenly. Fish is all the same size now.
So you sort of cut it so that it's a nice sort of long rectangular kind
So
of
now
shape.
I've got a nice rectangle kind of shape. I'm also going to cut it in half because the tail end always cooks quicker than the head end. So because that's thicker, I want to take that out of the pan sooner. I don't want my fish to overcook. No one likes their fish to overcook. Now the scallops, although you look at those scallops and you think they're very plump, they're quite nice, big scallops there, they're not going to take too long to cook at all. Overcooked scallops can be a nightmare. So that's all going to go into the pan at the same time. That's going to cook perfectly. You know, a lot of people might think to themselves, I should cook them separately, but don't. You know, you don't want to cook your sea bass will cook in seconds, and your scallops will as well. You know, you don't ever want to overdo your scallops. I'm going to season the food.
Season it with salt.
Season it with salt first. Because it's a white fish, I'm only going to use salt, no pepper. Same with my scallops. Because it's white fish, it's such a delicate fish, I don't want to overpower it with too much pepper. So when I season, I always season from a height, and I always dust. And I always dust the whole chopping board that I'm working on. That way, I'm going to get a nice coating of the salt. You know, definitely, it's not going to be too salty. It's not going to be too.
So it's more even, is it?
More even coat of that. We can do both sides. I've got a pan on the heat behind me, and with that, it should be coming up to a nice temperature. I'm going to just get some new potatoes into a pan and get those cooking off. Get a bit of heat into that pan. In there, I'm going to throw the tarragon with those new potatoes for flavour. I'm going to season that up, a little bit of pepper, nice pinch of salt, let the heat come into there, and a bit of the lemon juice. I've got a little bit of lemon juice going in there and a little bit of oil. And I'm just going to let that slowly come up to the heat and warm through. I'm going to crush those new potatoes down and put them into a nice ring just for presentation value. They're going to go quite quick. Now I'm literally just going to wait for the heat to come into those, and I'm going to crush them up quite simply. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to get my asparagus in. That's going to take literally somewhere.
In a pot of boiling water.
Boiling water, no seasoning in that. I'm going to season it afterwards. I don't like seasoning water because what you will find is during the service, if you season the water and that water's boiling away, that salt's going to condense, the flavour's going to condense. So no point putting any salt in the water. You're so much better off taking the vegetable out and season it afterwards. You know, get the flavour and the salt on there. New potatoes, you can see that they're starting to fry off a little bit. And they're gaining the flavour of the tarragon. The flavour of that tarragon is just going to break down into that pan. It's going to flavour up the potatoes nicely. Now I should have a nice bit of heat in that pan for the fish to go in. I'm going to put the sea bass in skin side down. Nice hot pan. Now as you can notice, it's going to stand up a little bit. It comes within itself. It starts to arch up a little bit. Now that's the heat from the pan. You just need to wait for the sea bass to relax a little bit. And you just very gently push it into the middle of the fish. As you see, that's just going to go back flat.
It's like pushing it out a bit.
Yeah, you're just pushing it back down so this whole of the skin gets contact with the fish. You're going to leave that sea bass in there for a couple of seconds so it starts gaining a little bit of colour, and then the scallops are going to go straight in. I'm trying to find, when I look at the scallops, I'm going to look for the largest surface area, because that's the surface area that I want to touch the pan. So obviously, I'm going to use that. Now I'm looking for texture on my scallops. They've got to be cooked to perfection, but there's got to be some nice colour on there and a nice bit of texture. Scallops have a lovely soft texture when you're eating them. If you can give them a nice crunch as well, that extra little bit of texture on one side, it adds to the kind of experience. That's That's a la carte cooking right there. That's fine dining. That's how you do fine dining food. Right, from there, I've got these lovely artichokes. Charcoal artichokes are also going to go straight into the pan. So it's all in one pan. It's almost like doing your English breakfast in the morning in one pan, you know, and then finish it off with the egg. So I'm going to get these char-grilled artichokes in there.
Do you buy them like that?
They come in like that, char-grilled, marinated in oil. We did go down the route of doing them ourselves, but it's just quite a long period, like quite a long task. So they go in. I've got some nice cherry tomatoes. Now I brought on the vine cherry tomatoes because they're just a bit more better flavour there. They hold the flavour from the vine in the tomato for a lot longer.
So you put them all in the same pan as the scallops?
It's all going to go in the same pan. I'm just going to leave it to itself. It's just going to get some nice colour on those scallops, nice colour on that sea bass, and it's all just going to come together all nicely. I've got these potatoes all done. You can see there's a little bit of colour on that pan now with the potatoes. That tells me that they fried off nicely. And from there, I'm just going to break up the potatoes.
You're just using a big spoon just to sort of
the back of a big spoon, just to crush them up a little bit. Don't have to do it too much. And from there, straight into my lovely little ring. I've got a lovely little metal ring there.
So one of those furniture rings.
It's a mousse ring actually. They're called mousse. Setting mousse in. You'll find a lot of chefs who utilise something like this when plating up. So I'm going to really push on the back of the spoon on top of that, and then I'm going to turn over and do exactly the same. Because the whole point about a la carte food is it's got to look good, and that's going to give me a lovely, beautiful finish to my potato.
So you put that on the plate.
So that's going straight onto the plate.
So Peter, you put that into the ring, the mousse ring.
So I pushed all those potatoes, I pushed them really hard into the mousse ring, taken that mousse ring onto the plate and just lifted it off to leave my potato there. It's going to look. I've just offset it a little bit. From here, I leave some butter into the pan. With my sea bass, my scotch, and all the other ingredients. It's all there. Butter is a chef's favourite ingredient. You can see the colour.
It's all bubbling away in the pan.
Now basically all I've got to do from here is just turn everything over. Scallops need to go over. Sea bass all needs to be turned over now. It's all got lovely colour, lovely shine to it. Look at that.
Presumably good ingredients to start with is key.
Key to good ingredients. Now, for great chefs can take any ingredients and make great meals, you know. But if you're going to take a good ingredient, do your absolute best with it. And that's what it's all about. It's about showcasing what talent you've got. So I'm going to get a bit of balsamic on the plate.
I will be taking a photo of this actual dish and putting it on our Facebook site, the Black Bull Inn Bolsham as well. So if anybody did want to actually see what this looks like, they can always like our Facebook page as well and have a look at that.
I'm just going to take all the ingredients out of the pan onto my chopping board, let them dry off a little bit. I'm going to re-season everything. Now it's time to play up a little bit. I'm just going to place my cherry tomatoes in a uniform fashion. I'm quite a uniform kind of guy.
So you put them all in one long line?
One long line. I'm just going to stack up the asparagus on one side.
You put the asparagus in between and on top of.
Yep. And then it's just a case of a bit of sea bass on top of the potato, a bit of scallop on there.
Gorgeous.
And then just going to finish that off with a bit of pasta oil, just for colour. We don't like to use too much garnish here. We're not about putting something on the plate that you're not going to eat. You know, if there's a bit of pasta on the plate, only if you're going to eat it, only if it adds to the flavour of the dish. So generally, look, there you go.
It's gorgeous. So the pasta gives a nice green colour, and the balsamic vinegar gives a darker.
It gives that contrast of colours and flavours and textures. It's all there. You know, you've got beautiful scallops and the beautiful sea bass, but it's got nice crispy skin, so that gives you that texture. The artichokes are obviously soft, and the asparagus has got soft, but because they've been fried, because the artichokes have been fried, it gives you that other bit of texture. You know, because the tomatoes have got that lovely kind of softness inside, but on the outside they've got a lovely crispy skin where they've hit the pan. So it's all different textures going on there with your cooking, as well as the different flavours. Very important that when you're producing something of a high standard, it incorporates everything. It's not just about getting it on the plate and being nice, you know what I mean? It's got to be fantastic, it's got to be perfect.
And on average, how many of these would you do, say, on a Friday or Saturday night?
Do about 20, 30, if not more. You know, the Red Lion could do up to a lot more than that, or something like that sort of standard, you know, very easily. It's got all the ingredients there that people are going to look at and go, God, it's spring. It's spring on the plate. You just look at it, it just feels like spring.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
For me, now I just want to go outside and go play in the sunshine.